Today is September 26, 2010, and I am interviewing Ed Harris in his home. He is 68 years old. He was born on September 24th, 1942. My name is Adam Bott, and I'll be the interviewer. Ed Harris is my grandpa. Papa, could you state for the recording what the war and branch of service you served in?
I was in the U.S. Navy during the Vietnam War period.
What was your rank?
I was electronic technician, petty officer, third class.
Where did you serve?
I served on various stations. I was on two different submarines, the USS Tyru and the USS Intimidor. The Tyru was out of Honolulu, Hawaii, and the Intimidor was out of New London, Connecticut. I also served on the USS Cascade out of Newport, Rhode Island. It was a destroyer tender, and also served on a destroyer escort out of Philadelphia Shipyard, which was used, the USS Blackwood, which was used to train reserves on during the summer.
How many years were you in the service?
I enlisted for 4 years and was extended 1 year due to the Vietnam conflict.
Okay. So you served in the Navy. Where were you living at the time?
Well, I was stationed, I went to boot camp at Great Lakes, Illinois, and then I went to electronics technician school at Great Lakes, and then to the submarine training school at New London, Connecticut. And then I was stationed in Connecticut on a submarine, the Intimidor.
How did you happen to serve in the war?
I was not involved in any ship that was in the Vietnam waters in that area. Submarines, mostly we were involved in training exercises off of the coast and down around the Caribbean area.
What were you doing before you were drafted or enlisted?
I worked at RCA in Marion, Indiana, on the production line.
Did anyone else in your family serve in the military?
Yes, my brother Mike was also in the Navy as a communications technician, and my father was an officer in the Marine Corps during World War II.
Okay.
And I had other uncles that I had another uncle, Dick, that was in the Marine Raiders in World War II, and my Uncle Jack was a sailor in World War II, and my Uncle Bob was in the Army in World War II,
Okay.
among others.
Can you tell me about adapting to military life, physical regimen, barracks, food or social life?
Yeah, well, originally you start in boot camp, where they teach you discipline and the rules and dress codes and respect for authority and etc. And also it has a lot of physical training.
Okay. How did you choose the branch of service you served in?
Primarily, for two reasons. One is my father, who was in World War II, told me that while they could never finish a bowl of soup because the rain would fill their bowl up as fast as they could eat it, the sailors always had a warm bed. So he recommended that I join the Navy, and also I wanted to get an education out of the service, and the Navy offered a lot of opportunities for education.
Okay. What kind of training did you have?
Well, once we got out of boot camp, that physical training, I then went into electronics technician training, where I learned the electronics involved in radios, radars, sonars, LORAN equipment, ECM equipment, in the various electronics used in the service. So I was able to work on all of those, and most of the time I was in. And then after that, I received special training for submarines, which involved the systems and also learn the escape methods and so forth if we would ever have to exit a submarine underwater. And then we had special trainings on equipment, various specific equipment. And I also attended nuclear power training.
How did you how would you how would you escape a submarine underwater?
Okay, what we learned to do is the critical thing is underwater you had an escape hatch on a submarine. And what it did is you could go into this hatch out of a compartment, and they were located in your forward and after torpedo rooms. And you would go in there, and then they would equalize pressure in that chamber with the water outside so that they could open the hatch to that water. And once you went out into that water, you would rise to the surface. And it was critical that you, at that time, you had to blow out all the time you were rising. If you quit, your lungs would expand and would burst. So you had to keep a calm head in order to rise up through that water and continue to blow out all the time you were rising. After I was in a short amount of time, they came up with a hood that you could wear, and it would equalize the pressure if you just breathe normally in it as you're coming up. So that was a much great improvement over what we originally learned.
How many people could fit in a submarine?
The one I was on had about 100 people. I think it varies between about 80 and 120 or so.
Did you make any friends when you were on the submarine?
Yeah, I had a lot of friends, but we changed stations and ships often, so you had to fit into new groups, which was a good lesson to learn in life, was getting along with a large variety of people.
What were your actions or duties away from the front line?
Well, we weren't actually in a front line, but it depends on the ship I was on. On submarines during battle stations, which we practice a lot, I sometimes was involved in the sonar, where we would listen to the target ship we were making runs on, or ships that might be pursuing us. We would listen to them underwater, and often I was involved in the plotting of whatever our target ship is. We could plot them passively, meaning that we just listened, and we were able to on a sheet we had of paper, we had a light that would follow the course of whatever our target was in our course. And by drawing lines from us to them, we were able to determine their speed and their course, and therefore we could then set a torpedo to intercept them.
Okay.
So I was involved in that establishing the patterns that we need in order to fire a weapon at them.
How did you stay in touch with those back home?
Well, it varied. In the States, we were able to, of course, use telephone, and often we were close enough to get home, once in a while. And when we were over in the Mediterranean, we were able to, over shortwave radio, call the States, and there were people with phone patches so that they would call your home from the States, and then you could talk through the radio to their telephone, which then with your spouse or family.
What did you do for your recreation off-duty activities?
Well, there was sports, various sports you could participate in involved with the service. Basketball, softball, those kind of things.
What did it feel like coming home?
Oh, it always felt great coming home. It was nice to get home cooked meals and not have such a rigid schedule.
Okay. How did you return home?
You mean when I got out of service, or
Yeah.
during the time I was in service? of service, my brother and sister-in-law come out and brought us back home, and all of our furniture came home or came to our new location by a moving van.
Okay. Did you have any reception by family or community?
Oh yeah, my family was all there when we got home, and we were able to, see everybody. You know, there wasn't any big special celebration, but I think everybody was glad to see each other.
How hard was it to return to civilian life? Civilian.
Yeah, it wasn't difficult. You could adjust to military, and you also could adjust to civilian. It wasn't a real difficult transition.
Are you a member of any veterans organization?
Yeah, I've joined American Legion.
Okay. Have you had any contact with fellow veterans?
Uh, I pretty much all through my working career, I'm well aware of those that I worked with who were veterans, and we had a lot of contact and often talked about things that we had been through and done. So yeah, I've had quite a bit of contact with veterans.
How has being in the military affected your life?
Well, for one thing, it gave me a good education, and it also let me know that I could fit in with about any group of people. So it gives you a lot of good social skills, and I think it gives you good self-discipline.
Did you learn any lessons?
Oh, I think so. One thing it taught me is I really love this country.
Okay. Well, thank you for telling us these questions. And is there anything you would like to tell me or about the war?
Well, like I said, the ships I were on wasn't involved in war action. We were involved in some weapons tests and so forth that were kind of exciting. We sunk a World War II vintage submarine with a 300-pound warhead torpedo that was electronically guided and homed in on this, and we got to see video pictures of it. And we also thought it had sunk our sub when the concussion wave come back and hit us. It scared some admirals that were on our sub because it pushed it backward probably, I don't know, 50 foot or so and downward. So it was like getting hit in the nose. So that was probably one of the more exciting things. So I don't know. And then I was on the destroyer escort that was to Cuba twice, and that's kind of an interesting place. And we were able to fire at anti-aircraft shells at aircraft, and a lot of weapons tests over there. So that was kind of interesting. That's pretty much it. I did enjoy my time in the service, and like I say, it's makes you appreciate this country.
Thank you for telling us.
Okay.